Every town has its ghost stories, but what happened at the Blackwood Psychiatric Asylum isn't a ghost story. It's a documented nightmare. In 2018, 3 urban explorers broke into the condemned facility looking for cheap thrills and YouTube views. Only 2 of them made it out. And the footage recovered from the missing explorer's camera reveals a truth far more terrifying than anything supernatural. The group consisted of Mark, Sarah, and David. They were veterans of urban exploration, equipped with high-end cameras, backup lights, and industrial masks to protect against asbestos. Blackwood had been abandoned since 1974, shuttered abruptly, following a series of unexplained patient fatalities. The official record blamed a structural fire. The locals whispered about something else. At 11:45 p.m., the trio breached the perimeter. David's body cam footage shows them slipping through a rusted chain-link fence, the massive, gothic structure of the asylum looming against the night sky like a decaying beast. The air was dead, no crickets, no wind, just the crunch of broken glass beneath their boots. Once inside, the atmosphere was suffocating. Their flashlights cut through decades of undisturbed dust. Peeling lead paint hung from the ceiling like dead skin. Rusted wheelchairs sat in the middle of long, dark corridors. Mark was filming the graffiti on the walls, but Sarah noticed something strange. The graffiti stopped halfway down the hall, beyond a certain point. No one had dared to enter. Following the untouched corridor, they reached the old administrative wing. According to the public blueprints David had downloaded, this was a dead end. But as Sarah leaned against a rotting bookshelf to clear her mask, the wood groaned and the shelf shifted. Behind it wasn't a brick wall. It was a heavy, reinforced steel door. The door was unlocked, but the deadbolt was thick, rusted, and heavily scratched. Curiously, the deep, frantic gouge marks weren't on the inside trying to get out. They were on the outside. Someone had desperately tried to claw their way in. Pushing it open, they found a narrow, concrete stairwell spiraling downward into a sub-basement that did not officially exist. As they descended, the ambient temperature plummeted. Their breath turned to thick white fog in the beams of their flashlights. The air smelled foul, a sickening mix of formaldehyde, damp earth, and something distinctly metallic, like dried blood. At the bottom of the stairs, they entered a sprawling underground facility. It didn't look like a hospital. It looked like a containment zone. The walls were lined with heavy, solid iron doors, each equipped with a sliding viewing slot. No windows, no ventilation grates. This wasn't for treating patients. This was for hiding them. Inside an overturned filing cabinet, David found a heavily water-damaged ledger. The entries were dated late 1973. It didn't list patient names, only numbers. And next to every number, the exact same medical condition was recorded. Subject exhibits stage 4 photophobia. Hunger is insatiable. The skin is adapting. They moved deeper into the facility, entering what looked like an improvised surgical theater. In the center of the room was an operating table, but it was fitted with heavy industrial chains instead of medical restraints. Beneath the table, the concrete floor had a built-in drainage system. It was clogged with something dark and calcified. On a nearby desk sat a battery-operated reel-to-reel recorder, miraculously preserved inside a plastic evidence bin. Mark, driven by morbid curiosity, pressed play. Static hissed through the silent room, followed by a doctor's frantic voice. October 14th. They aren't sick. We didn't cure them. We just forced them to evolve. If the power fails, God help us all." The tape clicked off. Silence rushed back into the room, heavier than before. That's when Sarah pointed her flashlight down the long, dark corridor ahead of them. At the very end of the hall, one of the heavy iron doors was wide open. Its hinges were twisted and broken outward. David raised his camera, zooming in on the pitch-black doorway. The autofocus struggled, hunting for a subject in the dark. Suddenly, two pale, reflective orbs caught the light. Eyes. But they were positioned entirely too high off the ground to be human. It didn't step into the light. It moved with the shadows, folding itself backward against the wall with sickening, unnatural fluidity. Its limbs were elongated, its skin a pale, translucent gray. The terrifying truth crashed over the explorers. The patients of the sub-basement hadn't died in a fire. They had been sealed down here. And they had survived. Panic erupted. Mark screamed, dropping his secondary light. The creature didn't roar. It let out a rapid, clicking sound, like a predatory insect echoing off the concrete walls. In an instant, the sound was multiplied. Clicks echoed from the ceiling, the adjoining rooms, the darkness behind them. There wasn't just one. They sprinted back toward the stairwell, their flashlight beams bouncing wildly against the decaying walls. Just as they reached the halfway point, David tripped over a rusted medical cart, his camera slamming into the floor. The impact shattered his main light, was plunged into near-total darkness. Sarah and Mark were already at the base of the stairs, screaming for David to hurry. David's audio captures him scrambling to his feet, but then a distinct sound is heard. The wet, heavy slap of bare feet on concrete, dropping directly from the ceiling behind him. Mark and Sarah didn't look back. They couldn't. Adrenaline pushed them up the spiraling stairs, their lungs burning as they hauled themselves through the hidden door and shoved the heavy bookshelf back into place. They ran through the main ward, bursting out into the cold night air, sprinting blindly into the forest. The police arrived at dawn. A full tactical sweep of the Blackwood Asylum was conducted. Mark and Sarah guided the officers exactly to where the hidden door was. But when they moved the bookshelf, there was nothing, just a solid, decaying brick wall. There was no steel door, no stairwell. The authorities accused the two of pulling a hoax, but 3 days later, a local homeless man found something sitting perfectly upright in the middle of the asylum's front lawn. It was David's camera. The final 5 seconds of footage show nothing but pure darkness. But if you enhance the audio, you don't hear David screaming. You hear him whispering, perfectly calm. "Turn off the light. It's better in the dark." If you enjoyed this descent into the dark, make sure to hit that like button to appease the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications so you never miss a case. If you have your own terrifying stories, let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay out of the dark. Thanks for watching.